Hey, can I get a little help here? I have a lesson to teach. Hey guys, what's up? So my pops texted me a little while ago and asked if he could swing by. So let's see what he wants. Hey old man, what's going on?
Hello, my son. So I don't seem to remember getting a call from you on my birthday last week. What did I do to make you mad at me? Is it because I told you to get a job? Because you are a grown man now, and I just...
Okay, Pops. First of all, you are eternal, so no birthday. Secondly, I did actually buy you It's that second universe I know you've been wanting. I mean, what do you get for the guy who literally has everything?
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Those humans make me
All right,
laugh.
thanks, Dad. I'll hit you
Little
back later.
know-it-alls.
So, what I want to do today is drop some real truth. I know that may seem a little redundant, but in today's environment, truth is not about conveying knowledge, but about pushing propaganda. So we need to be very specific about what we are doing here. We are taking down Christian dogma and giving you God's truth. These are truths that have been hidden away by the church for centuries, for various reasons, and replaced with answers that are now taken for granted by most churchgoers. But since humans are growing up as a species, God is revealing more of how things really work in the universe. And we are going to start with a few bangers. All right, let's see what's poppin'.
The largest church in America. Pastor Joel Osteen.
As with most human endeavors, when an entity becomes successful, there will be people that attempt to use it as a vehicle for obtaining wealth and power. Religions are obviously not exempt from this, as it's become apparent that many church leaders are simply in it for the money, power, and sexual exploitation that access gives them. So, don't you think that many things said in the Bible may have been inserted to support the agendas of some powerful people as opposed to godly words of advice? In fact, I will go a step further by saying that, in general, my father does not hand down lists of 10 life hacks or recipes for living a proper life. And the main thing the Creator wants us to learn is how to get along with one another. So He provides an environment where the resources required for survival are finite. So you can either share them or you can hoard them. But if you do hoard resources, you must spend a huge amount of your time and resources fending off the people you didn't share with. So which one do you think humans have chosen?
Are shown holding a rifle and pistol respectively.
I think you know what's up. When you were a little child, you were probably imbued with the famous Genesis stories from the Christian Bible.
In the beginning I created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And my spirit moved upon the face of the waters. And I said, let there be light. And there was light. And I saw the light, that it was good.
These are kind of like backstories for the human race, as they attempt to explain our earthly origins, how different languages were created, and so on. One thing that people notice when they read these stories is how different things seemed when compared to modern times. So there were things like people living to be several hundred years old, and apparently there were actual giants walking around causing trouble, crazy stuff, right? But something that many people ask is, are those stories really true? Children are told the stories are real, but as adults, we have questions. So my father wants me to let humans know that, sorry, but no, they are not real in the literal sense. They are more like allegorical stories, designed for a young species that doesn't know anything about science and the existence of non-human beings. As an analogy, think of this. What did parents use to tell their children when a new baby arrived? They would tell them that the baby was brought by a stork, just to avoid having to wade into the idea of sex, because children are not equipped to handle that information. That is more or less what was done in the Old Testament. But remember how I said earlier that God does not generally hand down user manuals to young species? Well, in the Old Testament, that is exactly what happens to Moses, and later to Muhammad in the Quran. So you might want to think about who, in the past, may have pretended to be representing the divine realm. But we'll discuss this in more depth in future episodes. For now, though, Christians really need to stick to the New Testament. You know, I have some bangers in there too, but we seriously need to shadow ban the Old Testament. For real. Whoa, hey, look out. Alright, I think we should probably wrap it up here. This went a little longer than I expected, so we'll have to do a part 2. If you're cool with that, then we'll see you here later. Remember, I and God love you all. So, keep the faith, and we'll see you next time.